Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel, Gardening Cold Spring Harbor. For those of you who are new to my channel, I'm in Long Island, New York, Zone 7A. Beautiful, sunny, yet very, very hot day here in Long Island, New York, Zone 7A. I know that many of you, my fellow gardeners, have been dealing with this excessive heat and humidity for quite a few weeks now. I know that many of you fellow gardeners potentially lost many of your spring started crops to the pests and the disease that creeped into our gardens again because of this excessive heat and excessive humidity. I'm there with you guys. I understand you guys, and I want to help you guys get through this extensive heat and humidity. In fact, right now, New York City and New York State are getting hit hard with very, very high air temperatures and very high humidity. We're all under excessive heat warning and alert until the end of tomorrow. Our temperatures are in the upper 90s with over 99% humidity. So in today's video, I want to address this extensive, excessive heat and how we can protect our hard worked on crops from being tackled and destroyed by this heat and this humidity. What 5 steps to be exact, we as home gardeners can and should take now in this excessive heat in order to keep our crops, our plants from stressing out and potentially dying out during these high temperatures. So for those of you who are looking for that online gardening channel that offers tips, tricks, easy yet proven gardening advice to take your home garden to that next level, don't go anywhere, guys. Stick around. Start with clicking the subscribe button below. And if you guys enjoying the content of my videos, click the bell icon as well. YouTube will notify you every time I'll upload a new gardening video. Now let's dive right into this and talk about 5 ways how we can protect our crops, our plants from stressing out during this intense, heavy heat and humidity. Come with me, let's get talking. So in today's video, we're going to talk about all the ways that we can protect our crops and our plants in our home garden and to keep them as stress-free as possible. Heat waves can take a huge, huge toll on our crops and on our home gardens. And I know how hard all of us work since the late winter, early springtime to sow these seeds, grow our seedlings, transplant our seedlings, and then take care of our vegetables, herbs, and flowers. And we do not want our flowers or our vegetables or herbs to stress out to an extent to the point where they can die out. So in today's video, I'm going to give you 5 ways that you can keep your plants stress-free during this excessive heat in your home gardens. So when we go from say 70 degrees, even lower 80s, all the way to 90s, or even hundreds in a matter of a day or two, our cool weather-loving crops such as our carrots, our beans, our beets can go into a very, very high stress mode. Even our warm weather-loving crops such as our tomatoes, our peppers, can undergo severe stress as well. And it is our job as home gardeners to prevent and to eliminate the stress as much as possible. So what happens to our cool weather loving crops when the temperatures drastically start to climb? Our cool weather loving crops will bolt and will go to seed on us. Essentially, they're going to die out. But it's not just the cool weather loving crops. It is also the warm weather loving crops that do get stressed out due to very high heat, and especially when it's also mixed with very high humidity. So what will happen to our warm weather loving crops in this extensive heat? What happens is they will stop blooming. In fact, some of them may even drop their blooms. Why? Because they're going to try to conserve as much energy as possible, as they are very, very stressed out due to the intense heat. So our job as home gardeners is to first and foremost reduce this stress, and that is our goal. So in today's video, we're going to talk about multiple ways of how we can help our crops, our plants, essentially relieve this stress that is caused by this intense heat and humidity. I am feeling this intense heat already as I'm standing here making this video for you guys. As you could probably see, I am starting to sweat over here. Yes, we are already experiencing upper 90s here with over 99% humidity. And with humidity, it is going to feel as high as 105 degrees today. So let's dive right into this. Let's talk about the 5 ways we as home gardeners can protect our crops in this intense heat and how we can help them relieve all this stress they're definitely feeling over here right now. If I'm feeling the stress, they're feeling the stress, guys. Tip number 1, guys. Water your plants or your crops in the morning as early as possible, especially during the time of an extensive heat wave. Know that many home gardeners say that by waiting to water your plants and doing so in the afternoon, you're risking burning your plant's leaves as well as root system. But it's not only that, guys. That's not all you're risking by watering your plant later on in the day. In the morning, our plants are less stressed because there is no intense heat that early on. The sun is not right over our heads. So our plants can drink and absorb that water calmly without being all stressed out, kind of wanted to look for that water, fight for that liquid, for that hydration. In the middle of the day when the sun is right over our heads, plants are craving that water more so than ever. So there will be that competition for hydration, for water. They are already stressed out due to this heat. So now by giving them that hydration so late in their day, you're making them stress out even more. So they're going to be drinking, absorbing that water, hence causing themselves even more stress than necessary. So don't wait that long to water your plants, guys. Get out early in the morning, especially if you know by your weather forecast that you are going to be under excessive heat advisory, and try to water your crops as early as possible and try to water them from below so the water directly goes right into the plant's root system. Also, guys, don't forget that the hotter that sun is, the quicker the evaporation of the liquids takes place. So by watering your plants later in the day, you are risking that water, that hydration evaporating from your plant's root system quicker than ever. So when this heat hits me here in Long Island, New York, Zone 7A, I get up early. I get up as early as 6 o'clock, get dressed, and come on right over here to my home garden, and I start watering my plants even before my kids get up for the day. Let's get into tip number 2. And that is try to plant your crops densely. Let me explain what I mean by that. Early on in the season, say mid to late spring, when I'm either sowing my seeds or transplanting my seedlings, I like to plant my crops as close to each other as possible. You could see how closely packed my green beans are, and you could see that they're doing beautifully well over here. They're filled and covered with beautiful green beans. You could see my carrots over here. They're also packed together very closely. And I plant my crops as densely as I possibly can. And let me explain to you why exactly I do this. As you can see, when you plant your crops densely or as close together as possible, their leaves, as they start to grow, their leaves kind of serve as this protective barrier, kind of an umbrella to the soil, to the root system of your plant. Over here, you could see another example. These are my cucumbers, and you could see how close they are to each other, how densely I planted them. You could see that the leaves are creating this natural umbrella. They're creating their own natural protective shield to the soil and the root system of the plant. Over here is my patch with my zucchinis or my squash. You can also see how close I planted my zucchini plant. Over here you can barely even see the soil. But guess what, guys? Now that it is almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit, the leaves are protecting the plant's root system. They are serving as a natural heat barrier, and the soil is insulated with shade, hence it cannot get too hot. And by planting densely, you're also maximizing the productivity of your home garden. Also, by planting densely, you are protecting the soil and the plant's root system from those dangerous UV rays, and the leaves work as a living mulch. Remember what we gardeners always say about mulching the soil under our plants. Mulch helps retain the water in your plant's root system. So these leaves that are overlapping and creating this natural umbrella per se are acting as this living mulch, helping conserve all the water in your plant's soil and root system. Also, by planting densely, you are taking up that soil space, hence reducing the amount of weeds. In fact, you are preventing weeds from growing in that garden bed. By helping keep your crops cool, you're helping to motivate them to keep producing that gorgeous, abundant harvest for you. Tip number 3, guys, never ever fertilize your plants or your crops during an extensive and excessive heat wave. I have seen and heard many gardeners say that you should apply magnesium, nitrogen, God knows what to your plant's root system during the heat. They're saying that by applying these fertilizers, you're going to help your plants survive through the heat wave. In fact, guys, this cannot be any more farther from the truth. And let me tell you why. So why should you avoid applying fertilizers to your plants now that they are trying to get by and get through this extensive, excessive heat wave? Well, you do not want to feed your plant's root system right now. By applying fertilizer, you're telling your plant to work even harder by trying to absorb these nutrients from this fertilizer, to basically eat them and to apply it to their root system, to their stems, to their leaves, to their flowering buds. Your plants are struggling in this heat, and they are trying to basically stay low for as many days as possible during this heat wave. So why would you ever want to make your plants work harder? Our goal is to protect our plants, to prevent them from going through this extensive, insane stress. So please, guys, never fertilize your crops during this excessive heat and humidity. Help your plants conserve their energy. Motivate them to stay low and under for a day, 2, 3, a week, as long as it takes until the heat wave passes. So for those of you who were or are thinking of fertilizing your crops in your home garden, the best advice I can give you is keep checking your weather forecast in the gardening zone where you live. If you see that the temperatures will be above, say, 85 degrees for a consistent amount of time, say a day or 2 or 3 or 4, try to avoid fertilizing your crops during those excessive hot days. It's okay. You guys can wait a few days, and by doing so, you're helping protect your plants and you're helping them get over this insane amount of stress that they are already in. We're almost there, guys. Let's jump into tip number 4. And that tip is harvesting. Try to harvest as early in the morning as possible before the peak heat comes. try to get out as early as possible in the morning before the heat really hits your crops, and to harvest as much as possible. Remember guys, the plant's main goal is to of course reproduce, to create the blooms, the flowers, hence the vegetables and the fruits on our plants. So we do not want our plant to waste all its energy on trying to keep these fruits on and intact. Our plants, our crops are wasting tons and tons of energy trying to keep the fruits on during this excessive heat. Fruit is the lifeline of our plants. It is trying to prolong its diversity. It's working super hard to keep as many fruits on as possible. So by harvesting as many fruits and veggies as we can, we are essentially removing that unnecessary stress from our plants. If you home gardeners know that you can harvest something from your crop, your plant, and we're not talking about fruit or vegetables that are green. I mean, green is green and ripe is ripe. But if you know that there are fruits that are ripe enough to be harvested, go on right ahead and harvest them as soon as possible, especially before the excessive heat waves comes around. And I promise you guys, I guarantee you guys, you will see a tremendous positive impact on your plant's health and well-being. Here we are guys, last but definitely not least by any means. Tip number 5, use shade cloths. For those of you who are living in the gardening zones where it's constantly sunny, constantly hot, we're talking way over 90 degrees hot, excessive, extensive humidity levels, I definitely recommend purchasing a shade cloth. The shade cloth are super easy to attach, to put into place, and they do wonders in our home gardens. They definitely help keep our plants shaded and well protected from this intense sun, intense heat, and intense humidity. This is it for this video, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me here on this beautiful, sunny, yet very hot and humid day in Long Island, New York, Zone 7A. As you could see, the sun is at its peak and there's not a breeze in the air. It is super hot today. But in today's video, I gave you guys 5 very useful, easy, yet proven tips on how we can prevent and reduce stress from our crops during these hot and humid summer days. Now that we are going through the same high heat and humidity here in Long Island, New York, Zone 7A, I myself, as a home gardener, am following these 5 tips that I shared with you today. I watered my plants very early this morning. I made sure that all my peak of vegetables and fruits have been harvested. I make sure that I always plant my crops as densely as possible. I make sure not to fertilize my crops during these very hot days. And of course, last but not least, if I need to, I will place my shade covers over my crops. So for those of you who enjoyed watching this video, if you found this video to be useful, helpful, informative, show me that support, guys. Click thumbs up below. Leave your comments below, guys. Talk to me. I love communicating with you, my fellow gardeners. Let me know, how was the weather treating you in the gardening zone in which you live? How hot has it been so far? How's the humidity levels in your gardening zones? What steps are you guys taking to help your plants, your crops overcome this insane stress that they must be going through right now? And if you haven't yet done so, don't be shy, guys. Do so today. Subscribe to my channel, Gardening in Cold Spring Harbor. Super easy to do. Just click the subscribe button below. And if for those of you who are enjoying the content of my videos, also click the bell icon. YouTube will notify you every single time I'll upload a new gardening video. Stay healthy, happy, guys. Be well. That's the main thing. And happy gardening. And I'll see you again in my new upcoming gardening videos. Bye, guys.